Hello, everybody. It is April 23rd, 2024. I'm still going to say it, but time seems to be going along at a rapid pace. I hope you're all well. I really do. Geofactor 3, Analog Synth Player, Alicia DeMoss, Andrew Cruz, Wonder Why, Julio, Denim Blue. Okay, always good to see you, James B. Not that it's not nice to see everyone, but some people I see every single night and some people I don't. So that's what it's about. Please don't take things personally. Please don't take things personally. James B., Justin Wynn, Jane Northrop, Barb in Ohio, Taylor News, Denise Martinez, Oracle 11, D. Marquet, Donna Davidson, Shauna Howard, Lady J. Homestead, Silent Walk, Kim Blanchard, hello. I do want to... All right, there's only one that I see in the chat. The other ones, because even this is true on email or PayPal, you got the usernames on YouTube, and then you got different names coming at you, and you don't know who's who. But I do have to thank Karen W., Jeffrey P., and Donna D. I so appreciate your donations. Donations now are just on PayPal. That's it. I will tell you that I am going to Texas Saturday. This whole thing with Sherry taking out thousands and thousands out of the GoFundMe. I know I'm not supposed to ever say it again, and apparently that's the high road. Well, guess what? I suffer the consequences. So it's with me all of the time, and I have no outlet. And sometimes it's really with me. So you have no idea how grateful I am, because it'll help me get there. The place that I'm moving into is completely empty, and I have nothing. So, yeah, what has happened has really... Let's just say the stress I was experiencing, I wish I could go back to, because now the stress is wow. So, and yeah, it's very hard for me to ask, very hard for me to even mention anything about money. We are, as Americans, we've got our own mishigas about money. Some of us come from families that money was the tool. And it was like that for me my entire life. So it is very hard. And I'm sure it's true for a lot of people that it's very hard to ask for help, because there's a lot of judgment that comes, and I would love to be able to, wash that away. I'm not talking about me, I'm talking about everybody. All of the people that are in need of help, are scared to ask. There's so many people that are really struggling. A whole lot of people are scared to ask family, scared to ask friends, scared. Well, guess what? We have to. We've got to. We have to help out. We've got to ask for the help that we need. Otherwise, none of us are going to survive. That's it. And my whole experience has left me with feeling like, oh, life is just for the comfortable. Well, that's not true. So many people who are really hurting get marginalized. They're scared to speak up. So until I die, I'm going to be that voice. Donna, I can't tell you how grateful I am, along with Karen and Jeffrey and the others, that I have thanked before. So now it's just PayPal. And again, I forgot. Well, I guess I'm just going to put it in. That's the address. If anybody feels like it, wants to, small, large, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people who, throughout the years, I've gotten, they apologize for donating in small amounts. Many are on limited incomes. Many can't afford it. And my response has always been, the money obviously is needed, okay. But that people think that they thought about me, they cared enough to take the time and to donate whatever amount. That has been very meaningful. It's not just the money. It's not just the money. It's the care that you show. So, I just got a message from someone who's in the chat, so. But anyway, so thank you very, very much. Tom, Something to Chew On, Silent Walk, Steve Ladner. No, I should not go to visit Mexico for a few months. No, when you lose everything and you've lost all stability and everything's gone, you don't vacation. You just don't. You just desperately want to find some stability and, a place that is not going to be stressful. Yeah. And Barb in Ohio, hello. So let's just check out radar, which, again, they whipped up some more precipitation for you guys. Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, and there was nothing on radar early. I should take a capture of the nothingness to show you the somethingness that suddenly erupts. Look at this down here in Texas. The supercell activation. So where is this heading? The Dallas-Fort Worth area? All right, well, I'm going to post the link again. I think everybody should bookmark this site. Come over here, periodically throughout the day, because it's, these supercells get activated whenever they want to activate them. So that's the radar site. And I'm also going to suggest that you bookmark zoom.earth. Where'd my cursor go? Okay. My pointer. I'm going to start on the 22nd April, 9:50 a.m. But the reason why I'm suggesting that you also check out zoom.earth, the satellite, for your area to see, what's happening. Do you have activation of the nanobots? Which, as far as I'm concerned, that's what's happening right here in Georgia, down into Florida, along the coast in Florida. You've got an awful lot of microwaves from the east to the west coast of Florida. And that portends weather, probably severe weather. And you'll see whether or not these actually come together and create cloud like this here off the coast. But here it's up in Charlotte. You got the cross stitching of the cross stitching of cloud. It's so unreal, surreal. What are all these pink blobs? Lithium payloads, barium payloads, something payloads. So right on into Virginia. You got smaller blips. This is on the 22nd. This is not real time. All right, so, but you'll also, I mean, this is so, okay, not real. Not real cloud. Not real cloud. Mother Nature does not work in defined lines. Mother Nature works in circular patterns that are not perfect, okay. But look at Oregon. Okay, on the 22nd at 9:50 a.m., California, into Nevada. So I'm saying, you know, you check it out. And if you see this kind of, well, that could be chemtrails or it could be the nanobot activation, creating lines in the sky that look like the chemtrails. Look at this. This is here in Montana. Yeah, I look at this and I just think, it's like our skies are now just like monster skies. All of what's happening off the coast. Are they bringing you severe weather? Probably. Right on down. Look at this. That's a nice bend. Yeah, and they're going to tell you it's a contrail, right? Well, that has been in the atmosphere for a very long time, not dissipating. So, and then go up every hour, or you can go up, my God. The amount of cloud in the atmosphere is, and look at this. I mean, really, this right angle, that is a signature of manufactured cloud. The right angled hit. But they're loading up the atmosphere with cloud. It's so sad. So you've got Oregon on the 22nd of April, so 10:50 and 11:50, and you still have a whole lot. Look at this. Look at this mess. Right on into California. But it also went on up into Washington. So 4:50 on the 22nd. Look at this. My hunch is that you're going to have some weather coming your way if you don't have it right now. I don't think you do. So we're at the 23rd. Let's just go look at Washington, into Idaho, into Montana. This is all poisonous. This is toxic. You know? But the reason why I say check radar, check this, you know, stuff, because it does portend that severe weather that none of us want. Hey, L24, Louisiana Skywatch, Demarque, hi. All right, so, where to begin? How about just something cute? I didn't steal your babies. They came on their own. Wow. Quite beautiful. Quite beautiful. Again, I didn't put my mic on. Yeah, I don't know why people do this, but the government did not admit to destroying homes with weather. They did not admit to destroying homes with weather. It is very, important to be accurate, to not lie, to say what is actually being said. Now, we know that they're destroying homes with weather. But to suggest that maybe it's clickbait, I don't know. But to suggest that mainstream media came out and admitted that our government is destroying homes with weather? No. Okay. This is what they are admitting. And I've posted many videos on FEMA buying up homes. You got the floods, and then FEMA comes in, and I mean, this has been going on for decades, by the way, only increasing in scale. And this is how they get people moved about. And I have connect the dot videos on my channel. So yeah, it annoys me when people misrepresent anything. Okay.
The U.S. government is buying up and then destroying American homes like this one. Some homeowners in floodplains may voluntarily sell their doomed properties to the government.
Since 1989, FEMA has funded something on the order of 45 to 50,000 home buyouts.
FEMA is estimated to have spent somewhere around $4 billion on the project so far. But that's just a fraction of the total amount spent on buyouts, since there are programs outside of FEMA. But not everyone is convinced buyouts are a good idea.
It's a bit of a mixed bag. I think in some cases they're successful and in some cases they're not.
Any person that is moved out of harm's way is a positive move forward, provided that they're given appropriate resources to move and to start their lives anew somewhere else.
Because there's so much variation, sometimes buyouts are heartbreaking and sometimes they're a celebration.
Kind of tugs at my heart a little bit. I was there for 17 years. I'm like, they're going to tear this house that I was living in.
All right, so this has been going on for a very, very long time. And it is heartbreaking because when you're flooded and repeatedly flooded, you're not going to be able to sell that home because nobody's going to buy it. So FEMA steps in and buys it pennies on the dollar. And then they raise the property. The deal is made with local governments. FEMA pays the large percentage, as long as I think local governments come up with 25%, and then they'll come in with the 75% to buy all of the homes. Then they raise all of the structures, and the condition is no structures, no more for all of those, for the entire area. They buy up neighborhoods this way. So no structures, no living there. So they clear the area. It's kind of like, so they've been working at getting clear areas where people can no longer build at all, and move them, shuffle about people into cities. So, yeah, hell on earth is right. And Russian cyber attackers hack Texas Panhandle drinking water and flood town in first ever raid by Kremlin-aligned group. Don't you always think it's the U.S. government just blaming other governments? I do. Who the hell knows? But apparently, oh, look, hey, if true. Yeah, if true. Well, that should have been somewhere in the title of this article, don't you think? But here, we've been, all of the hacks, but this is the first ever distribution of a U.S. water system by Russia. Others, like Iran and China, have already been accused. Feds are investigating. Oh my God. So, a remote, or a small town, about 5,000, Russian hackers remotely accessed a Texas town's water tower. It's a suspected hack, so they're not even sure. In the Texas Panhandle town in January would be the first ever disruption of a U.S. drinking water system by Russia after Iran and China carried out similar attacks. The hack in Muleshoe, a community of 5,000 not far from the New Mexico border, led to the tower overflowing with thousands of gallons for almost an hour, leading to a state of emergency to be declared. Hacking group allied with the Russian government identified themselves as the Cyber Army of Russia Reborn. The group posted a video on Telegram of the town's water control system being manipulated, showing how they can reset the controls. Oh, yeah. Well, it could have also been the U.S. Army, the Cyber Army. It could have been NATO's Cyber Army, or the United Nations Cyber Army, or the U.S. military's Cyber Army posting, claiming that they're Russian hackers. Russia. But who knows? I mean, there's an awful lot. As far as I'm concerned, they work together. U.S. government, Russia, China, they're all working together. Even Iran. We're starting another raid on the USA. That was in the video. We're starting another raid on the USA. In this video, there are a couple of critical infrastructure objects, namely water supply systems. Yeah, that's what hackers do. They post a video of their hack, and they immediately announce who did it, right? Yeah, all right, so if anybody, maybe people in Texas want to read, the link is in the chat. But we're going to have a whole lot more of what you're seeing. Utility disruption. Oh, it's going to be bad. So I also came across this inside Terrorgram, the secretive hate group where deadly attacks are planned. Okie dokie. A secretive online network full of white supremacist manifestos and bomb-making tutorials is set to be banned by the government. You didn't ban it yet? It's set to be banned? Terragram, a Telegram group where members share radical ideologies. It's always been linked to several deadly attacks around the world. Now the government wants to add the group to their list of banned terrorist organizations. But is it really a threat? Okay, I'll post the link, you guys in the UK, if you want to check it out. But thank God they're going after people who claim that a woman is a woman and a man is a man. Getting rid of that hate. All right, I'm going to post a link again to Gregory Mannarino's video every day now. You just look at the titles and, oh boy, things are not good. Things are really not good. Hyper alert. The debt liquidity crisis is much worse than we think. The liquidity crisis. Yeah. All right. Well, I sure hope that all of us who've lost so much can just survive maybe a little bit longer. When does old age really begin? Seniors think 75 is the new 65. So 75 now. That's when old age begins, at 75. This is a study out of Germany. Well, I think an awful lot of people who are younger feel even older than 75 because of all of the toxins. Third grade teacher, you see this? After taking this in exchange for a Krispy Kreme donut.
City schools this morning. The district released a statement last night announcing the death of a longtime third grade teacher. Amanda McCurry taught third grade at Oak Park Elementary. We are told she was passionate about education and youth sports, even serving as a volleyball official for the Alabama High School Athletics Association. She is survived by her husband, Chris, and their daughter. As of now, we do not yet know the cause of death.
This is she. This is she posting. She's having issues since April. Diagnosed with congestive heart failure. Oh my God. Oh my God. Biden administration backs rooftop solar with 7 billion grant. You know how much the solar industry has received from our government? And how many times have I posted on all the news broadcasts with all of these solar companies that are scamming people? Or how about the solar companies that go bankrupt? Didn't work out, but we got an awful lot of money from the government. Wouldn't it be nice if our government actually helped out individuals who are struggling? I think so. I really do think so. I can't even go there. So, a Minnesota state senator, Nicole Mitchell, was arrested for first-degree burglary. And it came just a few days after she publicly advocated for building safer communities. She was arrested for burglary. State senator. Do you really think that this woman needed to burglarize other people's homes? Are people... look, I don't know. You know, we can speculate all day long what goes on up here. But we also have to then consider that could it be remotely controlled by someone else, getting people to behave in ways they wouldn't ordinarily. That's what we're living now. It's an effing clown show. Unsealed court docs reveal Biden, the Department of Justice, colluded with National Archives to target Trump. And Jack Smith tried to conceal, and these are the headlines that get the red and the blue team all fired up. Divide and conquer. That's Trump's role. Newly unsealed documents in Donald Trump's classified documents case reveal that the Biden White House colluded with the National Archives and the FBI to concoct a case against the former president. Well, that's it. That's it. I am just irate. That blue team is always cheating. The red team cheats too. New York Democrat wishes death on Trump supporters. I will say this, the blue team is definitely a whole lot they do seem to be far more violently batshit crazy than the red team. Democrats chant, Ukraine, wave Ukrainian flags. And Nate McMurray, who apparently is he's running for congressional office. And this is what we get now. You know, the lowest of the low. He's running to represent New York's 26th congressional district. And he posted, Slava Ukraine, die, MAGA, die. You lose. And then he writes, listen, I'm not trying to antagonize MAGA, but I refuse to let them strong-arm us into silence. Too many Democrats are out there timid. Oh, no, they're not, Nate. We've got too many Democrats just like you who really need to be put in your place. This is not how you talk to anyone, but it's sure as hell not how you're running for office. Apparently, you're running to be a Democrat congressional representative in a district where you might have some Republicans, but you're only going to represent the Democrats. That's what we got. That's what we got now. That's what has been playing out for years. AI crusades. San Fran lunatic goes Donkey Kong on Waymo robo-taxis. So apparently people are just attacking these semi-automatic vehicles or robot vehicles. Crazy. The House of Representatives passed a $95 billion aid package for other countries while our streets look like this. And this is, I believe, Philadelphia. while Congress abandons border. 3.5 billion was slipped into the Israel bill for migrants and refugees. Well, that doesn't sound like Congress abandoned the border. 3.5 billion for the border for migrants and refugees. Oh, it doesn't say southern border? Right. Wow. According to the legislation, the funds can be used if Congress designates it as an emergency requirement pursuant to Section 251B2AI of the Balanced Budget and Emergency Deficit Control Act of 1985. And according to that, if Congress designates the funds as necessary for, quote, overseas contingency operations, global war on terrorism, unquote, and the president, quote, subsequently so designates, unquote, the funds are activated for use. Oh, overseas. Huh. The funds can apply to whatever, it goes to the State Department, that $3.5 billion. The funds can apply to whatever the State Department wants, assuming Congress and the President activate them. So, no money for the southern border, the northern border, overseas. Congress has provided a virtual slush fund to the State Department for yet another category of people who aren't Americans and has failed to pass legislation that would protect the country from the economic and national security risks posed by unchecked illegal migration. Yes, nothing for Americans. And I found this interesting. Biden administration restarts deportation flights to Haiti as gangs begin violent takeover. That's not the gangs beginning a violent takeover in the United States. That's Haiti. Haiti. So, Biden administration sent its first deportation flight to Haiti in months Thursday, despite the island becoming engulfed in bloodthirsty gang violence that has taken over large parts of the country. And isn't it interesting that they're deporting Haitians seeking asylum, and considering what the United States has done to Haiti and all of this gang violence, you would think they're qualified, that they have legitimate claims, trying desperately to get out of their country that is engulfed in violence. No, we're going to deport them. Canada bet big on immigration, now it's hitting the brakes. Really? How much is it hitting the brakes? Canada's broad support for immigration, which Trudeau said is necessary to counter an aging labor force and low fertility rates. In 2023, the population here in the United States grew by more than 1.2 million, up 3.2% from the year before, the highest annual increase since 1957. About 98% came from immigration. Why do we have low fertility rates? Why is the world facing a fertility crisis? How about those electromagnetic frequencies killing off sperm and a whole lot of other toxins? This is environmental. So yeah. A massive spike in temporary immigrants has exceeded what Canada has been able to absorb. That coming from Trudeau. That's something we need to get back under control. Guess what? It should never have gotten out of control. But we all know that this is deliberate to bring down our countries. Migrant child rapist won't be deported because it would harm his mental health. Okie dokie. He's a convicted child rapist. He won an appeal to not be deported from the UK after arguing that it would harm his mental health. Yes, really. Oh, the people need to stand up. Ireland.
During this project, we were approached by a company who wanted to take on this building for international protection migrants. We were very grateful for the offer of a 5-year offer of 1.5 million for the 5 years. Some people call me crazy, but I refuse it. I refuse it on the basis that this was initially designed for families and we were sticking to our morals and our principles in delivering it. So now, as you can see, it's a fully spec building, fully spec. Everything that's done is done with a good heart and extras by the great tradesmen and workmen were in here. What disappoints me is we made numerous attempts to contact the local council within the area. We have spoken to TDs, ministers on this building, and we were left with great frustration to know, to still hear nothing back about putting families in this building. What really worries me in this country right now is how many more projects like this is suffering the same fate of ignorance, ignore. This is not responsible from the government, what you're doing right now. So I'm pleading and asking with them to engage with the people that have facilities like this and make it a home for people that are sleeping in our streets. And we thank you all for listening to this video. It's just with great frustration that we had to come out and make it. Take care.
A good man. A good man. He's manifesting goodness by turning down 1.5 million to house homeless people, homeless Irish people. Good on him. May he be a power of example. Seattle Children's Hospital leaves Texas after investigation over gender transition medication for minors. All right, this is interesting. Seattle Children's Hospital agreed to stop providing care in Texas after backlash for allegedly helping minors in the Lone Star State receive gender transition medication. The Seattle Children's Hospital writes prescriptions for sex change hormones. The prescriptions at their pharmacy, and the Attorney General Paxton said that it would violate state law which prohibits drug and surgical sex change for kids. There are a couple of states that finally, did something to protect children. So, but the Attorney General's office made inquiries, but they never got a response. They were rebuffed. Seattle Children's Hospital appeared to break Texas law and initially tried to evade accountability. He sought records regarding child sex change treatments from the hospital. All of the private information name, all of that could have been redacted. But the hospital never turned over anything and then just quit doing business in Texas. Does this also state other states? It's not just Texas. And Washington Governor Inslee signed the law in May 2023 to provide shelter for transgender minors seeking gender-affirming care if their parents don't accept them at home. Washingtonians, hello? You don't have to let these people rule the day. Washingtonian adults, you need to get Inslee to repeal the law that is harming permanently children. Activists who called on trans women to arm up enraged by conservative media coverage. I'm sorry, the batshit violently crazy. So, this guy, okay, Thomas made a TikTok that went viral calling on trans women, well, men, to arm up and be ready to die or possibly kill in the event that they are prevented from using public bathrooms reserved for legitimate females. The tirade was posted in response to people who asserted they would never allow a man to enter a woman's lavatory when their daughters were present. Thomas claims this would be the last mistake they ever make. Why isn't Thomas having the FBI show up at his door? He considers himself a woman, as well as a poly-trans lesbian, using she, her, hers pronouns, meaning he is still a man that is attracted to women sexually. His call for activists to purchase guns and be ready to die on the hill of access to women's bathrooms was used widely by conservative media personalities as a clear example of the unhinged nature of the trans movement. Well, yeah, and that's the hill you're going to die on? Really? Wow, how deep, how incredibly deep you are. Doubled down recently and posted a new response threatening, so the first video was I think a year ago. Now he's doubled down. New response threatening specific conservative commentators with a knock on their door. Ooh.
So I'm the one who went viral back in March of 2023 in a viral video that I made where it was a call to action or call to arms. Go out, buy a gun. If you try to stop me from going into a woman's bathroom, it'd be the last mistake you ever make. Yeah, I'm that person, and I stand by every fucking word I've ever said. The fact that I have to explain now, here we are a year later, explain why I made that video and just how many fucking stupid people there are in my comment section and in my DMs saying you threatened women and children. Nowhere in that video did I threaten women and children. A broken fucking record. I mean, I made that video in response to somebody else who was making unaliving statements or unaliving.
Could somebody tell me what this unaliving thing is? It's a new term. What is this unaliving? Does it mean killing? Unaliving someone? What does it mean? Okay.
Promises to another trans femme on this app. Yeah, I took the initiative and stood up to that motherfucker. And what I got in response to that was a lot of people hating me for no reason whatsoever, getting
No, actually, I think they have a good reason.
my name defamed and slandered in news articles. I've even had famous people mention me. It is what it is. I mean, they're gonna get theirs. I'm gonna get a paycheck in the end of this, so it's all good. People calling me a pedo, as long as I can find out who you are and where you live, you're gonna get in trouble. You're gonna get a knock on your door for that. Calling me a pedo because I am a woman and I use the women's restroom and I use women's locker room. No one has ever fucking stopped me. No one. No one will ever fucking stop me. Chaya Rat Chick, you fucking chia pet, fucking Tim Pool with his fucking receding hairline, Beanie Boy, Ben Shapiro, Matt Walsh, Steven Crowder, all of those fucking chuckle fucks. You know, they've all got something to fucking hide. Me, I don't have nothing to fucking hide. Everything that everybody's ever, like, exposed about me, I don't fucking care. I wouldn't, if I wanted to be secretive, I wouldn't have put anything out there on the internet. It's the way it is. I don't fucking care. But if you're gonna slander and defame my character and my name, then you're gonna fucking owe me a fucking check in the long run.
But you're the one doing it. No one is slandering you. You're slandering yourself by posting these videos. And unalive apparently is code for dead or unalive, lacking in well, I get that, but is this like a new term that people are using, meaning to dead someone, and they just don't want to say kill because they think maybe the algorithms are going to catch up, using that term that is, I don't know. All right, well, the trans movement increasingly represents people who are already deeply disturbed and unstable, people who latch onto the trans identity as a way to act out on their darker impulses, thinking they would be protected because of their status. Then there are the people who simply want as much attention as possible. Yeah, you want to talk about hate speech? Uh-huh, Kim. Yeah, I'd say. And it's not just that you have to accept, but they put in your face all of these changes that they demand people accept. That's not right. America's fight to save handwriting from extinction as IQs begin to fall for the first time ever, and teachers warn some 20-year-olds can't sign checks anymore. So, unbelievably, the Department of Education thought it was a good idea to get rid of handwriting. The minute I saw that, and learned that no longer are they teaching cursive writing. And now I think they're just getting rid of handwriting. Okay. It's the tech world. But using your hand, writing, stimulates the brain and it helps brain development. U.S. government removed the skill from the core curriculum in 2010 due to claims it was time consuming, and would not be useful in the age of technology? Well, when the grid goes down, everything's going to be pretty damn primitive. So maybe handwriting might come in. I don't know. Man, they focus on typing classes, maybe texting classes, and handwriting is considered. It's a fine motor skill, stimulates and challenges the brain, but with schools turning to technology instead, some teachers are complaining students can barely hold a pencil, but can swipe and double-click on their devices. IQ scores have dropped for the first time. I'm surprised that it took this long. Teachers, parents, experts said they were seeing kids and young adults who don't know how to sign their name or read cursive. Good job! Right? I'll put the link in. Oh, I hope it's not too long. It may be too long. No, it's too long. All right. Let's see. If you want to get artificial intelligence and the grim future of divided humanity, the Reese report, you can go to, all right, I'll just put in his Substack link. But I just want to read, a little bit of this because it, as a reminder, artificial intelligence. The corrupt U.S. government is bankrupting the economy and igniting a third world war while flooding the border with single military-aged men. The media continues to divide us along party lines with another rigged election, while Hollywood tries to goad the people into a second civil war. While this is all happening, humanity is being slow-killed with technologies that only serve to isolate and track us. 9 years ago, hundreds of scientists were warning us of the dangers of cell phones, 5G radiation. I'm Dr. Martin Blank from the Department of Physiology and Cellular Biophysics at Columbia University. We are scientists and engineers, and I am here to tell you we have created something that is harming us, and it is getting out of control. And, well, look at us now. The incidence of fatal brain cancer in younger people has more than tripled. We are putting cellular antennas on residential buildings and on top of hospitals where people are trying to get well. It's particularly frightening that radiation from our telecommunication and power line technology is damaging the DNA in our cells. The time to deal with the harmful biological and health effects is long overdue. We are really all part of a larger biological experiment without our informed consent. 9 years later, things have only gotten worse. Millions have been murdered with a mandated mystery, which has debilitated even more and infected the living with nanotechnologies that are linking us with machines. And that's where we are. Call me crazy, you can go ahead. I'll just call you willfully ignorant. Sentient artificial intelligence, far beyond human beings. You give it 1,000 years alone to make better and better versions of itself. Well, these are some quotes, but, oh yes. IRS Commissioner indicates AI will play growing role in future tax collection. and I'm sure AI will never ever make a mistake. All right, so this is not a very long article, but I do want to read it. War, what's it good for? Absolutely nothing. I want to read it because I think many of you will identify with his experience. We have only seen a handful of movies in a theater over the last decade. Ever since the kids grew up, there hasn't been a reason to spend too much for too little. Regal Cinemas in Oaks was the place to go in the old days. It had 24 theaters and was always packed. You could never get a parking spot close to the venue. The restaurant near the theater always had a line, and you usually had to wait 30 minutes to get a seat. We decided to go and see Civil War on Friday night, and boy, times have changed. Regal Cinemas went bankrupt a few years ago after COVID, and the theater was taken over by some local businessmen. They now play 4 or 5 movies, but $10 per ticket is pretty reasonable compared to a whole lot of the chains. Instead of hundreds of cars in the parking lot, there were about 30. We expected a long wait time at the PJ Willens. It's a restaurant, but there were dozens of seats at the bar and booths. When we ventured over to the cinema, there was no one checking that we had tickets, and it was like a ghost town. A Friday night at the movies a decade ago was a big deal. The place would have been bustling. I can't see this place making it over the long haul. There were 8 people there to see Civil War. The previews were so loud, we thought we were going to need earplugs. The sound became more reasonable once the movie started. I had read a few reviews of Civil War, and they leaned negative for a myriad of reasons. Some people seemed disappointed and angry that the director did not pick a side, or even make a single political statement. My interest in this movie stemmed from the snippet shown in previews, where a guy holding some journalists at gunpoint asks them who they are. They respond, Americans. And he asks them, what kind of American are you? I think that is a profound question, as this country has already split into at least 2 enemy camps, with the leftists already fighting the war, using any means necessary. Laws and morality no longer matter during this time of coming conflict. It'll be such chaos, and it's coming to us, and I guess some people will call it a civil war, but it's just going to be violent chaos. Knowing we are in the back end of this 4th turning, there is a high likelihood of civil and or global war in the next few years. I think coming sooner. Whenever I point this out, many scorn the possibility of civil war. Some think keyboard warriors will never actually have the guts to get into a shooting war with the government or leftist fanatics. I was hoping the movie would provide some thought-provoking fodder, giving me an inkling of what might be on the near-term horizon. The movie is more about the journalist characters traveling from New York City to Washington, D.C. in order to get an interview with the embattled president. There was no background regarding what started the Civil War, who were the good guys, and whether the entire country was involved. The entire movie took place in the eastern United States. So my observations are as follows. The conflict was between the Western forces versus the existing U.S. government forces. The Western forces constituted Texas and California, with Florida leaning in their direction. It was not clear whether all the states chose a side. Since both sides had high-tech military weapons, the assumption is the U.S. military split its allegiance. That means rogue generals did what Southern generals did in the 1860s. For most of the movie, You can't tell who is fighting who. That seems realistic in a civil war scenario, because you're not going to have people in uniform. The red team and the blue team are not going to be wearing blue hats, red team wearing red hats. What kind of an American are you? Well, there's many kinds. And a whole lot of people won't know who is who, what team they're on. If they're on a team, voila, dead. So, what kind of American are you? Captures how confusing and chaotic it would be. I don't think the guy dressed in military garb is on either side. They were dumping bodies into a hole without anyone to enforce laws. Warlords will rise up and execute retribution on locals they consider enemies. Every local community will become a battleground. Neighbors versus neighbors, families versus families. With 300 million guns, there will be blood. Two characters let it be known that their parents have stayed on their farms in Missouri and Colorado, pretending there is no civil war. They seemed dismayed that they wouldn't choose sides. That made me wonder whether those who choose to not participate in the coming civil war will be able to work their farms in peace. No, they will not be. Since modern society will come to a grinding halt with shortages of fuel and food, I'm afraid small farmers will come under attack by the hungry masses. It will be essential for small communities of like-minded folk to form militias to protect their farms and communities. And guess what? There's a whole lot of communities out there that haven't even thought it, begun it, did anything to organize it. We all know our existing uniparty, one-party government is corrupt, evil, and hates us. Whether we call it the deep state, corrupt oligarchy, or corporate fascist totalitarians, it is clear they are our enemy. They are continuing to implement their Great Reset, Great Taking scheme, and will only be stopped through violent means. This movie did not take sides, but did imply the existing government will be defeated. Yeah. The question is who or what takes their place. Sadly, it is unlikely that a republic will be reborn from the ashes of this empire of debt, delusion, and decay. Civil War was a sobering and depressing movie. I think it is a foreshadowing of what lies ahead. Innocent people will die. Senseless slaughter will be the norm. The boundaries between good and evil will blur. Well, they're already blurred. Right and wrong will become meaningless. I think right and wrong is already meaningless. It will be unclear who are the good guys and who are the bad guys. Conflict is upon us. Will the cessation of our Constitution before the upcoming election be the spark that starts this civil war? We don't have a Constitution, so it doesn't seem to be sparking much of anything. Where and when will our Fort Sumter moment happen? I don't know, but I fear it is close upon us. Well, there we go. Oh, Maya's right, Kim. And, you know, it's already simmering. So I'm going to play this one more time. The Transhumanism, the End Game. I've played it before. It was sent to me by a subscriber. And yes, this is a video that needs to be circulated for sure.
What I believe is the most important topic of our time. The title of my talk, Transhumanism, the Endgame, probably gives away my take on the matter. I'm not going to get into the technical aspects of transhumanism, though I do believe that one of the problems with faith with regards to public understanding of the matter is that it encompasses such a wide range of things. And we've seen some of them, but from genetic engineering, implant technology, artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, all the way to cybernetic prosthetics. Although all of these things fall under the transhumanist label, I think there's a very important distinction to be made between technology that seeks to assist people with a disability in order to regain a normal quality of life, and technology that seeks to transform us entirely. The focus of my talk today will be on the ultimate transhumanist goal, what has been termed by Ray Kurzweil, one of the leaders of the movement, as the singularity. In his book titled The Singularity is Near, When Humans Transcend Biology, he writes, "There will be no distinction post-singularity between human and machine or between physical and virtual reality." It's very important to understand that transhumanism is simply the transitional stage between humanism and post-humanism. Make no mistake, the final goal is to eradicate humanity as we know it. Once you understand the final destination, it becomes much easier to look back and identify the psychological conditioning, the biological tampering, the cultural grooming, and the educational prepping that we have been subjected to for decades in preparation to making us accept a post-human future. It takes a lot of physical and psychological abuse to get an intelligent species like ours to agree to its own extinction. Most, if not all, that has transcended in the last 60 years was designed to get us closer to accepting such a dystopian reality. Whether you care to accept it or not, we live in a hyper-controlled matrix where our perception of reality is meticulously planned, managed, and executed in order to control and steer us in whichever direction they wish. And the direction is a post-human world. For this, they first needed to destabilize, dehumanize, and demoralize humanity through every means possible. The destruction of the nuclear family, children being indoctrinated by the state, abortion, the eradication of God and spirituality from education, life in megacities and away from nature, toxic food, air and water, social media, replacing real human connection and interaction, engineered financial crisis and taxation, endless wars and massive migration, stress, anxiety, depression, drugs and alcohol, constant fear-mongering, moral relativism as the new religion, and I could go on and on about how humanity has been influenced and forced to move away from all the things that give us strength, security, purpose, and meaning. A weak, immoral, disconnected, ignorant, and unhealthy population is an easy target for the next stage, the creation of an entire generation of androgynous beings. Masculinity is under attack psychologically, culturally, and biologically. Women are being replaced in sports, entertainment, and politics by men pretending to be women. And children are being indoctrinated at school to think that gender is a choice. The transgender movement is not a grassroots movement. It comes from the top. It has nothing to do with people's freedom of expression, sexuality, or civil rights. It's an evil psyop with a clear agenda to get us closer to transhumanism by making us question the most fundamental notion of human identity, our gender. If you don't know who you are, if you already identify as a hybrid between a man and a woman, you will be easily convinced to become a hybrid between human and machine. Gender ideology is the 2 + 2 = 5 from George Orwell's 1984 dystopian novel. It's the final test to see whether we will follow the most absurd party line towards our own extinction. But 2 + 2 = 4. And no matter how you choose to dress, call yourself, or change your physique, will not change that. The sad reality, though, is that in the gaslighting process to get us closer to a post-human future, they have mentally and physically harmed an increasing number of children and young people. And it's only getting worse. This must be stopped. Understanding the philosophy and the ideology behind the transhumanist movement is crucial if we're going to make the right choices as a species. Transhumanism stands on the premise that there is no God, that there is no spiritual realm, and that we possess no soul. Does anybody feel like a soulless being in this room? It is the most materialistic and Darwinian understanding of who we are. And in my opinion, it is the most reductionist and frankly insulting notion of humanity. For decades, we have been prepped and groomed to accept the notion that without technological enhancements, we will not survive the future, but instead become obsolete. Yuval Noah Harari is doing a marvelous job at convincing everyone that we will become what he calls the useless class in the face of a world driven by AI, that we are simple, hackable animals restricted by our own biology. But the truth, however, is very, very different. They don't want to alter us because we are flawed, weak, and limited. They want to alter us because we are none of those things. And it's increasingly difficult to control the billions of resourceful, resilient, and creative humans that we are. There is a reason why it's called artificial intelligence. And that's because it is artificial. It's not real intelligence. Real intelligence necessitates of consciousness, something that machines will never possess. And in any case, who said we wanted to merge with machines? Why should we allow some megalomaniac nerds and their big tech billionaire friends dictate our future? I think most people just want to be able to live a peaceful life in a healthy environment where they can pursue their dreams. Technology must be at our service, not to replace us or destroy us. Give us free energy, and the world will transform instantly. Give us nutritious food, clean air, and water, and disease will be eradicated. Allow us to live in a humane system instead of a free-range tax farm, and you will see how depression, anxiety, and stress dissipates. Let's use technology to make our lives more humane, not to make humans a thing of the past. The things we value most are those things that cannot be replicated by machines. Empathy, compassion, courage, intuition, imagination, passion, love, all of the things that make us unique. We are the most sophisticated beings on this planet and possibly the universe, for all we know. Our body is a universe in itself, one that we still have not yet fully discovered. And our brains are the most complex cognitive piece of biological machinery in the world. Just to give you a sense of our brain power, in 2013, joint teams of researchers from Japan and Germany got together to simulate a single second of human brain activity. They created an artificial neural network of 1.73 billion nerve cells connected by 10.4 trillion synapses. Sounds very impressive, but actually it's only a fraction of every human being's nerve cells. Scientists believe we all carry between 80 and 100 billion nerve cells, or about as many stars in the Milky Way. the researchers were actually not able to simulate the human's brain activity in real time. And it took 40 minutes with a combined muscle of 82,944 processors to get just 1 second of biological brain processing time. But they want to make you think you're useless. They don't want to make you better. They don't want to make you a superhuman. The end game is to make you a totally controllable piece of machinery, another thing in the Internet of Things. As Klaus Schwab has said on numerous occasions, the fourth industrial revolution will not change the world. It will change you. They will entice you with promises of immortality, but it's digital immortality. They will try to convince you of a life without disease and suffering, but by disconnecting you from the natural web of life and connecting you to the grid. And they will speak of becoming gods, Homo Deus, in the words of Mr. Harari. Well, we once took a bite of that apple, and we fell. And we've been falling ever since. But I think we now have a chance to redeem ourselves. We now have a chance to change our ways, to understand our foolishness, to see where we went wrong, a chance to walk in the right direction with appreciation, with humility, with courage, with truth, with faith, and with love. Let's not take this chance to transform ourselves to something different, but to become the best version of ourselves. We are not here to become God. We are here for God to experience life through us. Thank you.
Wow, every time I listen to her, I just think to myself, if I have to come back and do life again, may I look something like that and have that grace. That would be nice, but you need to know who you are, because when you don't know who you are, and it's not just gender, that you know your gender, but know who you are. Because when you don't, you are easy prey for being taken over. Our cities turned into war zones every night. From coast to coast, radical prosecutors and progressive politicians have been pushing illogical criminal justice policies deliberately that not only backfired, but transformed many once safe Democrat-controlled cities into crime-ridden hellholes. Whether it's New York City, it's not just the blue. You know, look at Atlanta. Kemp is a Republican. So, all right. Whether it's New York City, Philadelphia, Baltimore, Washington, D.C., Chicago, San Francisco, and the list goes on and on, these metros are plagued with violent crime, out-of-control youth, carjackings, murders, drug crises, the homelessness crisis, theft waves, and unvetted migrants. Okay, what I do want you to understand is that it may start in the cities and then it filters out. And everybody's writing about it. Which major city will completely collapse first? Will it be Los Angeles, Chicago, or New York City? Virtually all major U.S. cities have certain things in common. First of all, if you visit the downtown area of one of our major cities, you are likely to see garbage, human excrement, and graffiti all over the place, as you will see below. Some of our core urban areas literally look like they belong in a third world country. Most of our politicians don't seem too concerned about doing anything. Instead, they're dancing on the floor of Congress waving Ukrainian flags. No, they're not concerned, because they're not living in these areas. They don't seem concerned to do anything to clean it up. So it shouldn't be a surprise that rat populations are absolutely exploding all over the country. In some of our largest cities, the total rat population is numbered in the millions. Meanwhile, rampant theft, out-of-control violence, endless migration, predatory gangs, and the worst drug crisis in the entire history of our nation have combined to create a perfect storm of social decay that is unlike anything that we have ever seen before. I'll put the link in, you can read on, and it's only going to get worse. It's only going to get worse. BlackRock triples Larry Fink's home security as anti-woke backlash accelerates. So, they spent $563,513 to upgrade the home security system at Fink's residence during 2023, on top of the $216,837 for bodyguards. They will be fine. You, me, and the rest, not so much. Now, I'm going to play this. It's... Alright. This is scary.
Please help me! Please help me! Please help me! Please help me!
Okay. I wonder. You do have to wonder if it's real or not. I just can't. I can't step into the shoes of people who would ever do that. You know, purposely, as like a, just acting. But that is pretty friggin' scary. There are a lot of adults being kidnapped. So, again, just be very careful. Be very careful of where you are, your surroundings. Alright, so we're going to do some Israel, some Gaza, West Bank, Ukraine. Oh, our very violent, very extraordinarily violent world. It's a shame. Can't disagree with this woman.
Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black proponents of Cop City in Atlanta's leadership class. Black faces in high places are not going to save us. Just look at the black woman's hand, ambassador at the UN, voting against a ceasefire in Gaza. That is, our blackness and our womanness are not in themselves trustworthy. If we allow ourselves to be conscripted into positions of power that maintain the oppressive status quo, our blackness and womanness are not themselves trustworthy if we support the occupation of black neighborhoods with so-called better trained police, or remain silent about the genocide of oppressed peoples around the world funded by our tax dollars. For student activists speaking out courageously for Palestine and Congo and Haiti and to stop Cop City, they should not be threatened with expulsion. loss of scholarships, or have public safety called on them for protesting. Too often, our institutions celebrate student activists after they've graduated.
This whole idea, when people would say what we need is a woman in the White House. What, like Hillary Clinton? What, are you freaking out of your mind? That's not what we need. We need moral, good souls. But you don't find them in politics. It's not about black, it's not about white, it's not about man, it's not about women, it's about good versus evil. Principled people. I don't care what color they are, I don't care what sex they are. Principled people who actually live their principles of freedom. Of freedom. For everybody. Israel is intensely bombing 1.5 million Palestinians in Rafah. Okay, that's where Israel said to go. Now apparently they're bombing camps in Rafah. I mean, it's so good versus evil. And, all right. Oh, wow. AOC with the president. She must feel like she's somebody.
Mr. President, what's your message to the protesters? Do you condemn the anti-Semitic protests on college campuses?
I condemn the anti-Semitic protests. That's why I've set up a program to deal with that. I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians and how they're being.
Should the Columbia University president resign?
Right this way. I didn't know that. I'll have to find out more about it.
I also condemn those who don't understand what's going on with the Palestinians. All right. Anti-Semitism. It's a very real thing, just like racists are very real, but of course it gets blown up, right? So what do we have? And I thought I had this set up correctly, but apparently not. Carol. All right, I'm going to come across that article where it's, okay, we don't have a National Guard as people think we do. All right? So the White House condemns anti-Semitic protests at Columbia University. If you are protesting the war, you're anti-Semitic. That needs to stop. That needs to stop. An awful lot of people are joining these protests because they don't like the fact that children are actually being targeted and killed, murdered by the IDF and the U.S. The billions we give, the weapons, and the Americans who are over there fighting. So I am horrified and disgusted with the anti-Semitism being spewed at and around the Columbia University campus. You know, I just wanted to say, fuck you. Oh, sorry. Mayor Adams, how dare you? You know, to suggest that these protests are anti-Semitic when we're seeing a literal horror show that has been unfolding for months, continues to unfold every single day. and to claim that that's anti-Semitic. Hate has no place in our city. Well, apparently, the hatred of the IDF and the Zionist government for the Palestinians, that has a place? That does not have a place as far as I'm concerned. I just wish people were smarter, wiser, and more kind of spiritually connected to a moral core that they had. You've instructed the NYPD to investigate any violation of law they receive a report about and will arrest anyone to be found breaking the law. So there are major protests going on at Columbia University, NYU, MIT. I don't want to say any other because I can't remember. But here, as mayor of the city with the largest Jewish community in the world outside of Israel, the pain these protests are causing Jews, well, you know what? The pain of watching all of these Palestinians die, have their homes stolen from them, no. And a whole lot of Jews will read this and get really as pissed as I am. Because we have seen and I have shown a whole lot of Jews, a whole lot of Israelis are dead against everything that's going on, and they're part of these protests. This is not okay. I am really very tired of it. Here. Okay, GOP senators urge Biden. What happened? Urge Biden to mobilize National Guard to protect Jewish college students. Wow. Now this is getting pretty intense, huh? You're not going to protect anybody but the Jewish students? Divide and conquer. Please see through this. All of this comes from the top, and this is part of the social engineering to get everybody to hate one another. The Republicans are right there with the same tactics. They only express it a little bit differently, but as I have said, governors no longer are in control of the National Guard. It was usurped about 15 years ago by the U.S. Army and Coast Guard. And that headline should tell people, why ask the Biden administration? Why aren't you asking the governor? Hochul, send in the National Guard to Columbia University. Because she doesn't have that authority anymore. It's been stripped of governors. Will they ever admit that? No. Will they make announcements? I'm sending the National Guard like South Dakota. No, I'm sending the National Guard down to Texas. She's got authority to do that from the Pentagon. Not her own authority. The National Guard is now the National Guard. National. That's why it's sent overseas. Governors can send the National Guard overseas? No. The Pentagon can, though. And you really do, man. Wow. John Hagee. This is so... Wow. The evil in this guy is very apparent just by listening.
What exactly did you see last night that you want to share with the people this morning?
Prophetically, we are on the verge of the Gog-Magog war that Ezekiel described in chapters 38 and 39. This attack by Iran, who launched more than 200 missiles yesterday, is a tribute to the weak and pathetic leadership of Joe Biden. I assure you, if Ronald Reagan was president, we wouldn't be in this mess. Iran attacked Israel one day after our president looked into the face of the camera and said, "Don't." Don't you know they just laid on the ground and trembled with fear? They were loading the launch pad right then. The Democrats are trying to advise Israel to de-escalate, which is music to the ears of Hamas and Iran. We don't need to de-escalate. Hamas started a war murdering Jewish people. Hamas needs to be wiped out, period. So you heard me say love is not what you do. Love is not what you say, it's what you do. So what are we going to do about it? You know, the providential timing of God is an awesome thing. Early in the week, when I began to feel the way this was going, I told our Christians United for Israel organization, we're going to have a Washington, D.C. fly-in. This is an emergency fly-in. That means you fly in one day instantly and have a meeting with Congress. After the service today, I'm going to get on a plane and fly to Washington, D.C. 250 more leaders from across the nation are going to converge there also. We're going to go to face the House of Representatives face to face and tell them to stop shuffling papers and actually do something to help Israel.
I can't listen to anymore. I'll put the link in if anybody wants. It might be too long though. No, this is a Zionist, and this is nope. Sorry. Well, go on. Maybe I can get it another way. But if you want to listen to the last few minutes, I can't. These people are bona fide crazy. There is a big difference between evangelical Christians and Christians, but you can't judge any one person in a group. One person does not speak for everyone. Okay. These people, these maniacs who are they have these mega churches and they live royally. Where does he get his money? John Hagee. He gets his money I had this. Okay. He gets his money from Christians United for Israel, the Christian Zionist organization that he founded in 2006, held an emergency fly-in Monday to visit lawmakers because he's just so important in Washington, D.C., including Johnson, to tell them to stop shuffling papers and do something to help Israel. Meanwhile, that organization that he founded is funded by millions of dollars by non-Christian Zionists Robert Shillman, the late Sheldon Adelson, now his wife, Miriam, and Bernard Marcus. Okay. And isn't it that all right, so Jesus will come back when, let me see if it's says Iran's missiles are the prophetic start of the Gog and Magog war from the Bible that ends with Jesus returning and Jews killed or converted. It's exactly what Jesus wants. He wants an awful lot of people killed before he returns. I'm sorry, anybody who believes that has to be insane. Let's listen to Chuck Baldwin's response to John Hagee saying what he was saying.
I have some questions for Mr. Christian Zionist John Hagee. Mr. Hagee, you say the missiles launched by Iran into Israel are the beginning of the battle of Gog and Magog from Ezekiel chapter 38 and 39. But you also say that Gog and Magog represent Russia. I didn't know Russia was located in Persia. My prophecy message number 6 in my prophecy package set 1, which I'm holding in my hand right now, fully identifies Gog and Magog of Ezekiel. And it's not Russia or Iran. You also believe that Gog and Magog, referenced in Revelation chapter 20, is the same prophetic event. Question, Mr. Hagee, why haven't we been raptured to heaven already?
Amen. Oh, and apparently John Hagee believed the rapture was going to be taking place in 2015. Oops.
You say the rapture occurs in Revelation chapter 4, verse 1, and that the rest of Revelation prophecy is future, after the church has been raptured. You say the 4 horsemen of Revelation 6 are future. You say the beast, the mark, and the number 666, as you call it, in chapter 13 are all future. You say the second coming takes place in Revelation chapter 19. But here you are saying that the current conflict in the Middle East is a fulfillment of Gog and Magog in Revelation chapter 20. If this is your version of Gog and Magog, the church should have been raptured at least 7 years ago. So why hasn't the church been raptured? Mr. Hagee, when will you have the decency and honesty to admit to Christians everywhere that you are nothing but a bought and paid for Zionist who has lined his pockets with Zionist money?
And that is absolutely true. Unbelievable. Crazy, I mean, how people actually attend these services. John Hagee, they believe this stuff. It's so frightening because you know that there's no way of getting through to them. And I like Chuck Baldwin as well. No, I don't have to, have the same belief, but I think he's a very good man, and he says an awful lot that other pastors just don't. He speaks to everything that's going on. Unbelievable. We have the National Guard, New York City subway station. Now we're going to have them on the universities. This is not good. and there is no God but Allah. And yeah, well, the Christians believe there's no God, but Jesus is Father. Father, mother, all his siblings dead in an airstrike, and he lost his eye. And is it anti-Semitic to protest against this? No, it is not. It is not. So, yeah, a whole lot more. What's going on at the universities. And I'll play this. President of Columbia University forced to admit there are no anti-Semitic protests. I didn't know that the president was a female. And I have to admit, okay, am I an Omar fan? No, not at all. But what she does here is quite good.
I have seen we have had pro-Israeli we have had pro-Israeli demonstrations on campus.
No.
But
just
not,
a protest that was
not,
against Muslims.
No, I have
you
not
seen one against Arabs?
No, I have not.
Have you seen one against Palestinians?
No, I have not.
Have you seen one against Jewish people? Have you seen a protest saying we are against Jewish people?
No, I have seen.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. There has been a rise in targeting and harassment against anti-war protesters because it's been pro-war and anti-war protesters is what it seems like, correct?
Correct. There has been.
Okay, thank you.
I have seen, we have had.
That's what it is. These are not protests with people who hate Jews. These are not protests with, it's not about anti-Semitism. It is about the war. It is about, and you can't even claim that this is war because a war has two sides. Yes, October 7th happened. There's a history there. And if you don't look into what was happening before October 7th that led up to October 7th, then you're just an ignorant person who's like screaming, oh my God, everybody wants to kill the Jews. Not at all true. Not at all true. It's hard. It's very hard. If everybody just learned to speak the truth and live honestly, the world would immediately start to heal. You don't misrepresent people. You don't misrepresent what they're doing. You don't misrepresent experience with others. You don't exaggerate, because that's a lie. You get as precise as you can, speaking the truth, always. Always. There would be so much healing from that. And again, For sure, everybody can have their own way, but my way is it's good versus evil, and it doesn't matter what the religion is, what the sex is, what the color of the skin is. You know, there's good and evil in all groups, and I just wish people would stop being evil. I just really wish that people would do the work necessary to get a strong moral core. And I'm not saying I'm Miss Moral. No. I did a lot of work, and I have changed an awful lot. I know it's possible. So anyway, your communities are filled with people who are in need. Get out there. Help people. And do what you can, you know. Boy, if communities throughout the time, even just throughout my time, the 13 years of doing this, there are a whole lot of people from all over the country could have organized, could have had, you know, a very different community filled with the like-minded who aren't getting into an awful lot of crazy flinging about their issues or ego crap, you know. If they could have stayed together and strong, life could have been a lot different. But unfortunately, what we're seeing is an awful lot of people who are just left alone. You know, that's really sad. But anyway, thank you for showing up. I hope to see you tomorrow night, and it's Tuesday? Okay, so I'm going to do this another 3 nights, and that's it. Then I'll be traveling once again. Yeah. I hope it's the last time. Anyway, guys, stay safe. And good night and good luck. Ciao, guys.